I have senior general of military. The general in charge of Uganda presidential is part of my students. They are senior police, senior intelligent people. The most important thing is Kenya had risen to epics in terms of leadership of East Africa. It was a consistent focus. We had our fault. We have our issue. We were not perfect, and we are not perfect now. But we command the largest economy, the most professional military and security, the highest education standard that we have created, a fairly good health system, though it's not reached to the standard where it has reached. Kenyans are watching for that. And so you see what has sustained America today is you can have Reagan, who is very extreme conservative, and you can have Trump, who is extreme in his self, and you can have Barack Obama. But the system itself, the American government says, is sustained. You bring these extreme people, extreme dialogue together to really focus on the best interest of America. And so what I'm saying here, and what my friend has here expressed, is there is a lot of greenhorn in the government. You know, a CS come in a restaurant and you don't know what CS for. You know, and all these people are in. Secondly, they don't seem to be disciplined. There's a lot of pronouncement, or in terms of policy and everything, going back to literally to Moi era. So the president is smart enough. You know, he's the president, he ran, he succeeded. What he need to do is to have disciplined government. He need to be the spokesperson of the country, or the person designated as the speaker. We don't need to hear 5 people saying 5 different things, and then you now trying to wonder what has happened. Then the next day there is tax, and then people are suffering. Kenyan people, if you travel to Mombasa or travel to Western or travel to where, people are suffering, ordinary people, sending their children to school, health care is completely out of control, food, just ordinary food. So someone ought to listen. Someone ought to listen that Kenyans are fed up with the campaign slogans, 2027, all that. Kenya don't want to hear that. Kenya want to hear really active implementation of the program that they have proposed, like KPI for every CS. Mm-hmm. What have you done? What are your progress? What are the challenges? How can Kenya rally together in order to help them? And so I see really a demarcation, a separation. So the rest of Africa are asking what is happening to Kenya. And this really come to the leadership of East Africa, because they're all asking, where does Kenya stand on particular issue? And where is Kenya going? And if you look at the Kenya currency, the BAU, and South Africa rand, were the 2 currencies that were used for business in Africa. We're running down. Kenya money is running down right now. So what is happening? And so we have 4 years to go. We cannot continue with this 4 years. I support the president to succeed, but the people surrounding the president need to rally together and need to listen to the Kenyan people.
Absolutely, indeed. That is what we have there on the editorial cartoon, and the comments there from Noah Midamba. I think there's a face here which is misplaced. If you look at the CSS, because this looks like the face of Malala, but it's not part of the CSS.
You know,
maybe it was not really missed it here.
You know the concept of Malala is the spiritual thinking of our president. Our president, remember, was in YK 92. This is his political culture. Debal, Malala, the many more in the cabinet and permanent secretaries. These are people in the temple of William Ruto. And the chief there who whips them up is the Minister for Roads, Mr. Murkomen, who went to Londiani, and I want to send my deepest condolences to the people who lost their lives there. It just shows you how many times that we keep talking. Every time this happens, I urge the government to have a national disaster center. I urge them to have a national disaster center and a czar for disasters in this country. I urge them to create those in the counties to make sure that there were constabularies. This is an old English system that we used to have, a constabulary, in which, these people were specifically on the highways dealing with the issues of these fast-moving buses. They check the buses, they stop to check if the brakes are working. The huge fines used to be paid. This used to be, I used to see that when I was a young boy here in Wasingishu. I went to primary school here in Wasingishu. I had family there, so we lived there for a while. And coming down to Nakuru, all the way to Nairobi, the assistant commissioner of police, if you remember him, used to drive up and down that highway to make sure nobody drove fast, and everybody used to be scared of that police commissioner. I remember his name. He ran after Moi when Moi came to power. Debal, the whole point of putting a camera in a car is useless. It's just useless. Debal, I'll tell you why it's useless.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that. What is the
It's bizarre, but I don't get it.
That is not really preventative.
It's not going to prevent anything.
I'm saying it's not really a preventative measure. It is actually checking afterwards.
It's a check on afterwards to see why the accident happened.
Yeah, and if at all you retrieve the
exactly,
camera,
even if you can retrieve it, because it's going to get crashed in the crash.
Yeah.
So, Debal, there's harebrained ideas from the government. Debal, and I'm not just criticizing the government, Debal, I always give them ideas on how to do better. I think that they need to bring people into the government that don't have the same kind of culture. This culture of having the president right here on your side, being micromanaged about how this government should run. If anybody wants a ABC of how to run a government, please just look at what President Kibaki did. The best president we had. Tom Mboya would have been better, but they wouldn't. And today is when they killed our famous son. This country would have been very different with Tom Mboya. And you just have to look at President Kibaki's way of governing this country, and you see how well he governed this country. He never said a word. He read his memos, and he let the cabinet secretaries do their job. So I want to say to the government that it's very important for you to seek advice, to seek new people. You have to break up the group that's inside there now, because they're not going to deliver. And in another year, if this goes on, in German, Kenya will be kaput.
My point is simple. Take a leaf from Rwanda, where there is law and order, where you don't have this carnage that we have on our street. My cousin took a motorbike border right the other day. The fellow was going opposite the way, and he asked him, why don't you turn around and follow the right? The guy said they are the government. Okay, so if borders are the government, if matatus are the government, then what about the president and his cabinet? Who is running the country? So these are the issue. Law and order has to happen, but law and order happen when there is a governance, when people understand the base of where we are coming from. And people are acting up because they are angry about things. And therefore, we ought to be able to have a disciplined cabinet that is speaking when necessary and giving people progress that need to be understood all the time. And the president only speak. When the president speaks, you don't have to 10 other people speaking on behalf of the country.
Okay, quickly, the imbalance between the rich and the poor is the most fatal blow to a republic. That's a fellow called Plutarch. If you go to Nairobi West, you will see 3 million shillings